So I think that's a testament to demonstrate if you build it, people will come downtown if we give them a reason. Just last week we had the Antique Car Show. We're working right now on Halloween on Main for October 25th, the Holiday Stroll and Small Business Saturday on November 25th. And then also one thing we did this year as a result of the success of the pop-up pubs is when we had the last one in May, we didn't have anything planned all summer long. And people were asking, when is the next one? When is the next one? And we have to remind people it's all volunteer organization, so we get tired. And so one of the things I think this group has done, Peabody Main Streets has done a great job is collaborating with other groups in the city. And so we knew that the city of Peabody already had a summer concert series. We wanted to utilize our parks more, and so we kind of brought that concept of the pop-up pub into the summer concert series this year, invited Ipswich Ale back down, and had some things like that. And that was generally very well received by the community. People liked it. It attracted a whole different audience, and the city has said it was some of the largest groups in attendance that they had all year. So I think collaboration is really key. And then one of our other main objectives this year for promotions is really trying to start creating a marketing plan and initiatives. And so along that line, we also we did a couple of things. And I'll pass these around. But we do full-page ads in the Peabody magazine that comes out pretty much quarterly, letting people know what's happening downtown on Main Street. We also tried something different this year in that we had these rack cards in the visitor bureaus from southern New Hampshire to Rhode Island, from Salem to Springfield, from June to August, and they switched out every month, and so we promoted different aspects of Peabody and why you would want to come downtown, whether it would be some of the entertainment that was happening. We did the summer concert series. We highlighted Brooksby Farm and Tilly's Farm because we figured if we could get them into Peabody for one reason, we might be able to get them downtown to eat at some of the restaurants. And so I think that was actually pretty successful. We also this year did a couple of pages of festival ads in the Salem News, highlighting the festival and doing some ads for Peabody Main Streets. And I know from the police department had mentioned that there was, we had a tremendous turnout for the festival, and many of those people are from out of town. And we know that also with the pop-up pubs now, it's not just attracting residents of Peabody, it's attracting people from surrounding communities. So a couple of things that will be coming up will be this year for the first time, will be in the North of Boston Visitors and Convention Bureau's guide with a small ad, highlighting Peabody Main Streets and our website, so we can, get people kind of clued in that if they're coming to this region, they should stop in Peabody as well. And then last but not least, there's two questions I think that I've been approached with over the last few months is how does Peabody Main Streets get funded? And it's not a line item in the city's budget. We are a separate entity. We are 5013C, and right now we are strictly a volunteer organization. So any money that we spend right now is money that we are self-generating, basically from the events that we have that usually raise a little bit of money, and then we put that back into future events and some of these marketing activities. We do get some funding from the community block grants as well to help with some of these initiatives. So right now we're self-funded. And then the other thing too that I hear from both from the business community and some residents is, why is there all this focus on downtown? Because it seems that way, and I think part of it is you just hear more about it because we're doing some of these things that are more visible, that there's an awful lot going on downtown where compared to in past years there hasn't been as much. But also I think it's important to note that the reason why so much activity is happening downtown is also because that the state has been very supportive in giving us money to target, downtown Peabody as a transformative district initiative. And so grant money is available to help us out that's the segment of the city that we have to use that money in. So that's where a lot of the programs end up residing. Any questions?
Council Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't really have a question. I have more of a comment. I think that the Peabody Main Streets organization has done some fantastic work over the course of the last several years, and you're really seeing a lot more interest downtown, which is very positive. And I think over the next couple of years with some business investment and the activities that Main Streets promotes, I think it's going to be a very vibrant downtown for the years to come. I was very happy to hear you say that you will be advertising the North of Boston tourist brochure, because I was a little bothered last year when I saw that there's so much effort in promoting Peabody, and we have the largest mall in this region, and there was very little about that, because last year we were over in Salem, and the comment was that sometimes people have, they go to all the museums and the witch museums and all that stuff. At the end of the day, they want to do something different. And we're right next door. Some people just want to go shopping or take in a movie or something like that. And there are some activities that we have over here that Salem doesn't offer, and we need to be taking advantage of the clientele that is there and enticing them to come to Peabody. So I think that's going to be very helpful. So keep up the good work, but
Yep.
I think it's very positive.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I do agree that, it's probably one of the best kept secrets, and that's one of the things we've recognized is that we don't tell people what is actually going on. So we're trying to try different avenues to figure out, how we can reach people. And I think it's working, because we're starting to see people from outside of the community notice what's happening in Peabody.
Council Charis.
Thank you. Again, like Councilor Walsh said, you're doing a fantastic job. You're seeing downtown being with these events, being flooded with people and coming from other communities. It's a great work that you're doing. I'm happy and proud to be part of my small portion that I do. Again, everybody is now starting to take notice what's happening here in Peabody. And what we're having is the younger people who might have moved out are moving back in. I know you have a realtor here who will probably testify to that they're coming in, and Peabody is fun. I actually had a reporter tell me, I won't say who, their name is saying, I love Peabody. Peabody is a lot of fun. It is. We have a lot going on. So keep up the good work. It makes me proud. Thank you.
Sure.
Council Sinowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick two things. One thing through you to Council Charis, please don't use the word flooded in the downtown. Secondly, Deanne, can you tell me a little more what's happening with the the Black Box Theater and how that's coming along? Are you familiar with that one?
The Black Box Theater is moving along. They're actually having a wall breaking in 2 weeks, so the project will start to commence and go underway. And my understanding is it's a relatively small construction period, so it should be up and running, I believe, by early spring. Am I correct with that, Matt? Oh, sooner, maybe sooner. Great.
Council Garabedian.
I got a lot more hair than he does. What, am I losing the hair that quick? I just want to thank you for, Diane, for all your efforts, and you and your group have made such a big difference in downtown.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really is, as I said earlier, it's really a collaborative effort, and it's, we probably have 40 people who volunteer their time and meet regularly on each of the different committees, and it's great because they're all working, concurrently towards one end goal. So it's terrific. And then you bring in all the other groups, whether it be, the city, the cultural collaborative, that type of thing, and by working together, we're getting a lot done.
Councilman McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to reiterate what has already been said here, there's just a lot of work that goes on that is not seen. It happens at early morning meetings before people go to their job. And as Deanne has pointed out now a number of times, it's all volunteer effort. But I think what we're seeing is evidence that this National Main Streets model works. It's getting traction. As Councilor Charis said, it's starting to build some momentum. And so for everybody that's here and involved with it. And those that weren't able to make it tonight, I just want to offer continued encouragement to keep at it, and thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you.
I just had one comment, if I
sure.
could. Yeah. I have to wait and let everyone. But the other thing that I saw that you advertised, and I don't know if it was Main Streets, but I believe it was just recently you advertised the coupon book. I thought that was a great place because people do read that and keep that around, so I did notice that one.
Yes.
I know that you also take advantage of the billboards, which is great because we're trying to get other enterprise zones to take advantage of the billboards that are available to us. The one comment I did have that I did hear a little bit, and I'm sure you did, and just while you're here, you might want to address it, is obviously when you do these pop-ups, you're getting people to come to downtown, and hopefully when the event is over, that they'll continue to stay downtown and spend their money. One of the issues I think that was brought forward was some of the restaurants were concerned that Saturday is good. We don't need help on Saturdays, but maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So, and I know it's volunteers, and it's a lot easier to get volunteers to do a Saturday as opposed to a Tuesday or Wednesday. But I think that was a fair comment from some of the restaurateurs in the area. And then the other area was that there was a little bit of an issue came up with people partaking in certain things and then going to other establishments and some risk involved. And I just want you to be aware of that because I think it's a fair comment and you're trying to partner with the businesses that those two issues that came up, that shows that they're paying attention also.
Right.
They want to be a part of it.
Right.
So.
Yep, so we are definitely aware of that. We actually have increased the number of police details we have. And after the last pop-up on May 19th, I believe it was, we did have like a debriefing with the police about, the people that were down there, did they see any issues? And they actually said it was a very well-behaved, nice crowd. So, you can't, as they stated, you can't always control what people do before they show up at an event, that type of thing. But we're definitely well aware of it, and we know, we take it very seriously because we don't want anything to hinder us to be able to do these in the future as well.
Keep up the great work. Thank you for coming. So McGinn.
Just on, in response to your other point, while those are the nights that typically businesses do best, Friday and Saturday, we have been trying to track to the extent possible, quantify the impact of these events on the downtown economy. And some of this is anecdotal, but we've heard feedback from some of the restaurants in particular that business has been up for them as much as 20% on nights when these events take place. So it has proven beneficial, and the idea is to end these events sufficiently early so that those that have been attracted to come down here will in fact go elsewhere and have other experiences in the downtown. So it does seem to be working in terms of the overall economic impact to the area. Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you.
Next on our agenda, item 4A, show cause hearing for Lamar Advertising Company, special permit 2014. I believe City Solicitor is here. I'm going to have the city clerk read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, October 12, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank R. Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., for the purpose of hearing testimony to determine whether or not there is a violation of Special Permit 2-2014 as originally issued to Total Outdoor Corp., 1 Rear Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., and now being operated by Lamar Advertising Company, 385 Miles Standish Boulevard, Taunton, Mass. Specifically, the existing billboard being changed from a digital to a static billboard without permits from the Building Commissioner's Office nor approval of an amended special permit by the Peabody City Council. Said action could include the suspension or revocation of said special permit or issuance of a penalty under Section 15.5 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Peabody City Council, Councilor Joel D. Sasslaw, City Council President.
If the city solicitor could join me.
Mr. President, members of the council, What I need to report to you is that the notice that was issued is defective. It essentially, in legal terms, is called a misnomer of party. What occurred is that Lamar has been cited as the object of any inappropriate conduct relative to the special permit, when in fact, Lamar does not hold a special permit at all for this location. The special permit was originally issued to Total Outdoor, who was not sent notice of this hearing, and it continues to hold that special permit. The history to this particular billboard involves a May 17th attempt to switch out the digital billboard for a static. That was viewed by myself and the building commissioner on May 19th, and a cease and desist was ordered as to, at that time, Lamar. A week later, on the 25th, there was a motion from the council as it relates to Lamar to file for an amendment or to see if it violated the special permit by, quote, changing it from digital to static without coming to the council. What I can report to you is that the digital was removed, but a static was not installed. 5 days later, Lamar emailed Linda Lavoie downstairs seeking a transfer of the special permit from Total Outdoor. Lamar had actually purchased it a year in advance, 2 years ago, and it took no action by way of a transfer and/or any attempt to amend the special permit to switch out the billboard to a static. On June 9th, the building commissioner issued a letter to the council via date stamp with the city clerk seeking the transfer and having the associated papers. That particular request for transfer went to the council on June 22nd. It was received by the council, and by motion, I think, of Mr. McGinn, it was held and referred for a future meeting for discussion. No action was ever taken on that, so at the current, at the current date, Total Outdoor is, in fact, the special permit holder for that particular billboard. I do understand that, there is no action on the request for transfer, and I do believe there has been an amendment to the special permit filed with the clerk, but I don't believe it's been communicated to the council yet, Tim, or has it been?
It's on the agenda to be received.
Okay. But that's the status. If the council sees fit to go forward with some sort of show cause hearing relative to Total Outdoor, who was the permit holder at the time of, any purported transgression, we need to send out a new notice. But the recommendation is you can't go forward tonight.
Council Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Smozinski, you mentioned May 17th in our package. I don't have anything here that has May 17th date.
No.
You reference something in particular?
If you remember, on May 25th, I was here for a number of zoning amendments. And at the time of the motions, orders, and resolutions, you had the floor. I was still standing here, and you indicated that you were on vacation and went and saw that there was some construction being done. And that's when I said, whoops, may I be recognized, and indicated that the week before, the building commissioner and I took action on that. And at that time, and not realizing there wasn't any transfer that had occurred, inquired of the clerk whether or not a special permit amendment had been filed. I think I said at that time, and I can repeat it now, that our discussions with the Lamar people were met with acquiescence as to doing the amendment and not proceeding any further. I do have to add that at that time, I also indicated that there was an attempt to put a static billboard up, but in fact, that wasn't accomplished. They were stopped, and now it's how many months later, they have not taken any action whatsoever pending resolution before the council.
So back in May 17th, or at least by May 25th, you were aware that Lamar was not the special permit holder, and yet it was outdoor, but for 5 months, we haven't received that information until this evening, the night of the show cause?
No. What happened is I didn't realize they weren't the special permit holder until our discussions by email over August and September. And quite frankly, when the mayor said, please take another good look at this, it was only then that the building commissioner and I realized that the council never took action on the request for a transfer on June 22nd.
Right, but June 22nd is well after the infraction. They're asking for a transfer of the special permit in June when the infraction happened in May. And the call for a show cause was made on, the motion was made on May 25th. So I guess I'm not following what the issue is, that they're requesting us the transfer that we didn't act on after they switched out the faces without following the proper procedures. So they acted in May, and then they asked for a transfer in June, yet it's being pointed out that the council didn't act on the request that came down in June.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. And the other thing is, the communication you mentioned to Linda Lavoie was sent from Michael Murphy on May 30th, and that's 5 days after the motion to have a show cause hearing occurred. So it's 5 days after the motion for a show cause. They sent the communication to Linda Lavoie of, in the building commissioner's office, which says, hi Linda, per our conversation, I'm sorry, it's from Michael Murphy of Lamar.com, so he's obviously, the general manager of Lamar Outdoor Advertising. Hi Linda, per our conversation, Lamar Outdoor purchased 4 billboard structures on September 1st, 2015 from Total Outdoor. The addresses are North Shore Mall, 108 Newbury, 258 Newbury, and 1 rear Newbury Street at Route I-95, which is the one that we're talking about tonight. Please forward a copy of the special permit when you have a chance. If you have any questions, please let me know. So they're requesting the special permits for the 4 billboards that they purchased from Outdoor 5 days after the show cause. And then they're putting in the request to transfer it in June to the council, and now it's being pointed out that the council didn't act on it. They took action before they even requested the special permit. And they're the owners. They pay the fee, right?
They've paid a couple $100,000
Yeah, they pay
over the
fee.
last 2 years.
And if you go on the DOT website, I don't know how many of these we have in Peabody now. I looked it up, a few months ago when I was first trying to get this show cause scheduled, and there's like 12 to 15 in Peabody, and they're all registered in the DOT website as owned by Lamar. And the billboard itself right now, as it stands right now, motion receives the pictures that I took that I referenced back in May 25th. It says Lamar right on the billboard. And, the guy dropped his card in a puddle who had done the work on switching it out. And then which brings another question is, they switched out the digital on this one, and then I'm hearing that they cannibalized those parts and put it on Sonic. So I don't recall, was Sonic a static or was it a digital? And then did they ask permission to change that face out on Sonic? Because they would have had to have come, I think, for an amendment to the special permit if they altered the face of the Sonic one as well. And I don't know if that's been done. Was Sonic a static or digital?
No, what happened was, after the 5 years of litigation that had the 4 lawsuits, one of which went up to the appeals court and back, Sonic prevailed, and the city prevailed in its decision to award Sonic a digital billboard at its location. So, I'm just going to interject. I'm agreeing with you that this is a mess. You know, Lamar's registered with the state. They're paying us 6 figures over 2 years, and, you know, as special permit fees, and they're not the special permit holder. I agree that's, you know, that's incorrect. But to answer your question, and going back to Sonic, Sonic did have a right to put it
Okay.
up, and the way I understood it is, Lamar, which thought it owned and operated legally all of these, decided to use the digital from One Rear Newbury and transfer it up to Sonic. So I don't think there's a problem with Sonic.
Okay, I don't want to, don't get off, I don't mean to get you off track. So that issue's not an issue for tonight and doesn't appear to be an issue with Sonic. But, you know, Lamar took the action, they own the building, they pay for it, their attorneys are all over the documents, they're all over the website. But the bottom line is, we have a billboard that has, there's been action taken, and it violates our ordinance, that they didn't come properly before the council to alter the face of the billboard. And now it stands there for 5 months, and to me it looks like abandoned property. And if Lamar does own 12 to 15 of these, are they going to do this whenever they feel like it to all these other ones and just leave a billboard up with, you know, do as they please and just leave it standing? I mean, to me, people get more outraged with the double telephone poles, right? They want them down, they're ugly, they're unsightly, they're, you know, ruin people's quality of life. Well, this thing's just standing there, so with nothing on it, because action was taken without proper authority or permission, and there it stands. So basically, I want to know what their plans are, what they're going to do with it, and what are we left with? I mean, if we don't hold these billboard companies accountable, then we could be left with 15 of these. Just leave them behind as abandoned property because, you know, they're not profitable anymore, or we have a better site, or whatever their reason is. But they have to do things the right way and not just walk away from just, you know, a 60-foot hunk of junk that is there now left in our city. And that's how I see it. So I really want to find out what their plans are in addition to this mess. But Lamar did it, so my opinion is Lamar should be here answering to it. So,
They
thank
are.
you.
And, you know, given the procedural question on going forward with the hearing, you certainly have the legislative prerogative to ask for input and have the discussion with the representatives of Lamar right now.
I wholeheartedly agree with Councilor Manning Martin's assessment. And I also, and you didn't say it, but I just find it hard, and I came in to office when this was all going on. I just find it hard to believe that Lamar did not, you know, with their attorneys, there's more than one, I can guarantee you that they didn't know procedurally to do the proper paperwork and to get in front of this council to do the transfer. So I think that it makes sense they are here tonight, you know, and the mess was not created by the council. It certainly was not created by anyone in this room. I think that, you know, if they're willing to, I'd like to get up and let's find out what's going on, because obviously they want to transfer, and we didn't do the transfer because we wanted to find out what was going on. So they want something, we want something. Let's open up some dialogue, and let's figure out what's going on. It makes sense, because Total doesn't own the pole. So how can we bring in Total when they don't own the pole? That's absolutely ridiculous. Council Walsh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. You know, I'd like to move on too, because I think the sooner we resolve this, it's better for everybody. But I guess my question is this: if we proceed this evening and we have this discussion, it's been advertised as Lamar, and our solicitor is telling us that it's not properly before us, even though they owned everything. Any decisions that we make, are we then subject to being challenged on that?
Well, I don't think you're in a position to make a decision. My suggestion is that you can use legislative prerogative and ask Lamar's representative, its lawyer, to undertake a dialogue with you right now and here, and to collect the information that you need to decide what you want to do prospectively.
Okay. This is,
I don't see you taking a vote, on any consequences of a violation of a special permit today, tonight, but I think you certainly can have a dialogue in the context of this, this debate right now, and have those people being participatory.
okay, through you, Mr. President. So the conversation tonight would be, how do we fix this? But as far as the violation and the cease and desist order that was issued through the building commissioner's office,
That still stands.
correct, which is why the billboard sits as it does today.
Exactly.
Okay. But we cannot, part of a show cause hearing is whether this council decides that they want to issue a penalty. And you're advising us or suggesting to us that we cannot do that.
I'm saying that you can't do it tonight against Lamar. You can certainly go forward and do it against Total Outdoor if you want to do it and notice it out for next month. But while the people are here and in the context of this debate, you can talk to the Lamar people.
Okay, just from a simple, what is the point?
What's that?
What is the point? What would the point be of getting Total Outdoor back here? If they no longer own the property that we're discussing tonight, what's the point of that?
Let's put it this way. I've been engaged in that discussion for 6 weeks now, offline. And quite frankly, I want to defer from giving any type of legal opinion and taking one side or another on that defined issue. You want my opinion? I'll give you my opinion. I don't think there's a violation. They were stopped. They were prevented from switching out the board. That's it. They were prevented from doing it. If they try to do it after the cease and desist, we can get an injunction against them, and we can fine them through the building commissioner, not you people. I have an email chain that's from me to you with various individuals offline, and that's the whole subject matter of the discussion. The vote that was taken to set up this hearing was on the basis that the digital was removed and a static was installed. Wrong. It didn't happen.
Point of order. The 6-week conversations that he's referencing had nothing to do with any reference of it being Total Outdoor. That's inaccurate. That just is very recent. The 6 weeks was whether or not, for 5 months, 5 months ago, I made a motion, a co-motion with the ward councilor, city council president, to schedule a show cause hearing because there was some action taken on that billboard that appeared to violate our ordinance. So therefore, we have every right to have a show cause. For 5 months, I've been trying to get the show cause hearing scheduled. And recently, which he references, we were discussing, he's of opinion there was none. He just gave it to you. I'm of an opinion there was. I'm of an opinion that it's the council's decision whether to have those discussions and whether to air them publicly, and the council's decision to take action or not. Was there a violation? Let's discuss it. That is our purview. Do we hold people accountable or not? That's the council's discussion to have. And so here we are tonight to have that. It was only until the last few days that Total Outdoor's name even came up. But I can tell where all of a sudden, poof, Total Outdoor is, and it appeared that it was the council's fault because the council didn't make a transfer. There was no request for the transfer until well after all of this. So again, all the confusion and the differences of opinion. But I do see on here that Attorney Jack Kelty is CC'd on this. Michael, the notice, and Jack Kelty is here this evening, and I believe he's CC'd probably because he was the attorney of record for Total Outdoor. So we may have a representative here tonight from Total Outdoor. So maybe we can have Attorney Jack Kelty come up and represent Total Outdoor. Seems like we actually have all parties here now that you mention it.
Councilor Sinners, did you? Okay.
Thank you. Just very quickly, I'm not questioning your request for a show cause. What I'm questioning is any decisions that we make, and that's why our lawyer is here. That's what he's paid for. If we made a decision tonight, let's say that the council as a body determines that what in fact occurred back in May, when you were up there, is a violation, and we decide that we want to impose a penalty. Does that have any teeth this evening? That's what I'm trying to get to. And since Total Outdoor now is not the owner, are we going to go back to Total Outdoor and fine them? Or is it Lamar who gets fined? That's
If I may, I think that the city council president agreed with me that we can have those discussions. We don't even have to take any action. We can hold it in abeyance. But we want to have those discussions, which we've been trying to have for 5 months. But the city solicitor didn't feel that it was the city council's purview to do so. And I think the city council president and myself, and probably a majority of this council, disagrees with that. And we don't have to take any action this evening, but we certainly want to find out what they did. Now we know who owns it. And what are their plans? We don't have to even do anything punitive this evening. I want to know what their plans are with that hunk of junk that's on the highway in my city, affecting people's quality of life. And they own another dozen or so. And we need to hold them accountable with their actions on this one, or they'll do the same thing with all of them that are parking our highway. Thank you.
Council Sinowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. So number one, whether Outdoor and Lamar have an agreement, in the eyes of this city and the paperwork, Outdoor still owns the special permits. They never came for a transfer. They never came to alter the face. Anytime you alter a face of a billboard, we are the special granting permit, right, authority of this city. And I got to tell you, Mike, if you saw a violation, you have every right to go to Al Talarico. But you needed to come to us, because we enforce violations of special permits. He can't go up in Outdoor, whether, this is so insane. First of all, Lamar buys this. Anytime you're buying these things, there has to be a contingency of a transfer of a special permit and to get building permits to change faces and to come back here so we can approve it. And if you don't get that, the problems we've had with billboards over the last number of years, it's very sensitive. So I totally disagree, Mike, that there's no violation. I mean, this goes back, see, this grinds my gears after what happened at the Hess station. When they changed that face because of some sort of a typo, because they went to the building inspector, not to us, when we're the special permit granting authority, and they changed it from a digital to a static right next to Ledgewood condominiums. And then it's done. And what are we supposed to do? Make them take it down. So I think that if you saw that, you were right to go to Al, because they didn't have Outdoor. I don't care if Lamar was doing it. Outdoor owns that special permit because they never came here for a transfer. And you know what? The transfer, if you did it the right way, I'm assuming this gentleman right here is the attorney? Okay. If you came for a transfer, it would have been simple. I don't understand. It would have been simple. We would have come here, you would have transferred it, and then you would have said, I want to alter the face. You'd come here, and you'd talk to us about what you want to do. But you didn't do that. No one did it. So they colluded together. I don't know what they're doing. But they're both responsible, so that's why I want to talk about it. It doesn't make any sense at all. And look, I get the market. We've flooded the market with billboards. Total Outdoor want to unload them all. They dropped them onto Lamar because there's a lot of the profit has been flushed in the billboard market. So, but I just don't understand the logic behind it. And there's 4 billboards, so you needed 4 transfers. There's 4 separate billboards, is that correct?
I believe it's 5, isn't it?
Okay, 5.
4.
So any work, I mean, this isn't your first rodeo. This is your business. You're not a mom and pop organization where you don't know you're going to buy these 5 billboards. And what happens if you didn't get your special permit transfer and you just spent all this money? There'd be a contingency in there, so if you didn't get it, take your billboards back, we're done. It was a simple thing. So now we have a billboard that's sitting there vacant. And I don't even want to get into the issue of there's a lease on that that's another whole convoluted mess, and it's none of my business. That's a whole nother, that's for you to decide. But, you know, and Al did the right thing. He put a cease and desist, but we need to know. If he violated, if Total Outdoor violated their special permit, we should have known. I didn't know. Did anybody here know on May 17th or 20th?
May 25th, I made a report to the council.
But there was no motion made to any follow-up on what was happening. Then we get all these, you know, hold on. Okay, we got, let's see. We purchased it on such and such a date. We asked for a transfer. You can ask for a transfer. You have to actually file the papers for a transfer. Did they? Because the motion by Councilor McGinn was to, there was a communication from Al. It doesn't say what that was, and we want to open it up for discussion. They're not asking for a special permit transfer. It would be more definitive.
June 9th, the transfer request was filed with the city clerk, and June 22nd, it was received by the council.
So they got caught. They did this in May, now they filed for a transfer, so they did violate. Somebody violated something, I think it's outdoor, and you take the brunt of it, whoever is. My take is, and we're not taking any action here, because I think you need to have all parties at the table, but if I had my way, you'd get fined, and I put a cease and desist on every one of those billboards, shut them down till they're blank, until you get your proper transfers, and get your permits in place through the building inspector, and approvals through us if you're going to alter any faces. The only time we would probably give anybody a problem if you're going, in terms of, if you come to us for a new special permit, if you're going from static to digital, because it could have impact on people around you. And that's what we care about, okay? But if you're going from digital to static, it's probably, we're just going to approve it. But you have to come here, because you can't alter the face without coming for a special permit. So that's what I have to say. And it's just ridiculous. It was a simple process. I don't know why you signed a contract to buy it, buy 5 billboards with no contingencies? It doesn't make sense to me.
Council Manning.
Thank you. And on the 8K, motion under suspension of the rules to receive 8K, since that is the special permit.
The motion, all in favor to close the vote.
Thank you. If you go, I'm not quite sure who filled this out. The narrative to the special permit, the applicant filled that out, I assume, right? And it says, the last page of 8K. At issue is the removal of 2 static faces without a building permit. That's not even accurate. It was the removal of 2 digital faces without a building permit. The building commissioner issued a verbal cease and desist, and the applicant, Lamar, complied. No work has been undertaken since the cease and desist. What is a cease and desist issued for? A violation. You're told to stop doing what you're doing because you must cease and desist, because it's a violation. So to say that there's no violation after issuing a cease and desist is absurd. It also says on May 30th, 2017, the applicant asked for a transfer of the special permit for Total Outdoor to Lamar Outdoor Advertising, and we've ascertained that that's not an accurate statement either. They didn't ask for it on May 30th. They sent an email to Linda Lavoie, the building commissioner, asked her to send them the special permits of 4 that they bought from Total Outdoor. So that's not accurate either. So I'm having problems with their current request for the ex post facto permission to change the thing that they already changed. So I got a problem with 8K too. It's a sloppy document. Thank you.
If no one objects, I'd like to ask the representative Lamar if he'd like to come up and talk to the council. Please state your name and your address for the record.
No, tonight I'm Lamar. We switched teams. I'm John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, and I appear this evening for Lamar, Central Outdoor. The proposition before you this evening is as to what are our plans in the future. And there is a special permit request, amendment for a special permit. And it is correct that it is, I will amend that. I prepared this. I will amend that to removal of 2 digital faces without a building permit. And
So
where-
I'm correct, right?
You are
You didn't
correct.
say it's correct. You said I'm correct. Correct? Could you say that again?
You are correct.
Thank you, Jack, representing Lamar this evening. Thank you.
That's correct. So we are proposing, have filed an amendment to the special permit. We have filed a request for the transfer. That is in abeyance for the moment. And we are proposing to take down we have taken down the digitals. We believe that there should have been the issuance of a building permit. The business of, you folks have in the past approved billboard signs. They are unspecific in the special permits as to whether they are static or whether they are digital. No, we went down this route one other occasion, not with my client, but it was determined that if there is an intention to swap out the face, that would go before the city council. So that's what I tried to reference in here, where the city solicitor had pointed out that that change requires an amendment to the special permit. So my clients, unaware of that, engaged me to file this amendment to the special permit. They had on their own asked for the transfer, and we think that the first order of business probably ought to be at least acting on the transfer, and then we would properly be before you with an amended special permit. So our plans are to put up static, replacing the digital. And we have no such plans for any of the other signs.
No, just those.
Right. So I don't think there's anything impeding the transfer of the other signs if we just want our ducks in order. And it is true that Lamar has been paying the checks for all of these signs for the last 2 years.
And if I may, and Lamar sent that truck, the guy that left his calling card, his business card in
Yes.
the puddle, that they
Yep.
paid for him or her to go up and
That's
change
correct.
it out. And
That's correct.
So Lamar owns it, and they took action, and they changed the face. So, okay, thank you.
So Sinowitz.
So, in the eyes of your financial deal with Total Outdoor, you own them, but in the eyes of this city, the special permits are still an outdoors name.
That's correct. This is Michael Murphy.
So-
He's
okay.
a regional general manager for Total Outdoor.
So 2 years ago, Lamar Corporate purchased Total Outdoor. I was not involved in the acquisition. Our company's based in Louisiana. And I'll be honest with you, up until May, June, I did not realize that there was special permits on those locations because it was never passed down to me from corporate or from Total. And as far as the violation, yeah, that was our fault. We made a mistake internally on the building permit, and we screwed up. And when I got a call, we stopped immediately. And our plan there is to convert it, to amend the special permit, and not put digital there and keep it static.
So, what would have, I don't know what you paid for the 5 billboards, I don't really care. Say it was $1 million, $2, $3, $4 million. And Outdoor takes their money and walks away, and you come back and you don't get your permits. Did you have a contingency in that agreement to get?
I don't know.
Because it wouldn't make any sense, because you risk everything. And now you're claiming that we didn't know there were special permits or transfers.
So the total acquisition just wasn't those 8 locations. That was a very minor part of the whole deal. It was out in, some stuff in Chicago, Miami, New York, and a lot of inventory on the West Coast. It was one big package deal. I was not involved in that. That's somebody else in our company. All they said, hey, you're going to own these boards and Total boards. And that's what happened it was an acquisition.
I'm not sure, what step to, obviously, we're not going to, because I think we need to have all parties here. I don't know what the solution is, and I think we need to work with our city solicitor to figure out what the right way to go is. But, and I just want to say that one of the, to me, and this has nothing to do with, well, maybe it is something to do with you, but in the bigger picture, and when Jack brought that up, that's a sore spot. That part about, you know, you were vague in your special permit application, where you can just read the minutes and see what we talked about. And that's bogus when the attorney says well, that won't work in court. Come on, everything's about the minutes. So that's a sore spot. But the bigger issue is, and I'll say this quite frankly, is, and I said it 5 times, we are the special permit granting authority, and what I get the impression is the people are trying to take away our power, make us irrelevant, changing billboards over here, changing stuff here with no permits, and we sit back and like, we don't matter. And this council works very hard at what we do, and to have people we'll just sidestep the council, we'll do what we have to do to get the permits, we'll put the thing up at the Hess. And, you know, I resent that. I'm not saying you did it intentionally, but that's the feeling I'm getting, that we can just sidestep these people and do whatever we want, and that's a problem. And and it's a very sensitive issue with billboards in this community. So I'm going to listen to more of what's being said, and maybe we come up with, I don't know how we figure this out, but there needs to be transfers, there needs to be special permits applied for, there needs to be building permits applied for, the whole shebang. I don't know. I don't know if the building inspector's here, but just one other question. So when you have a static, what is your cost to the city per year? No, I'm sorry, static and digital, what do you pay for each one?
The digital's 25, I believe, and the static's 15.
Okay, so you arbitrarily change that, and you're going to make it a static, and we take a hit from 25 to 15?
Well, we did it.
With no approval?
It was wrong. I didn't get the building permit, and that was our fault. The amendment, we put in for the amendment, and the reason why I'm changing it is because there's too much digital in Peabody. And speaking to what you said earlier, it's been an issue. And there's a lot of non-performing locations. It's flooded out there. So from a marketing perspective and a business perspective, we needed to change it over, and we did not do it the right way, and that's the reason why we're making it the static. There was just, I mean, we don't own a dozen digitals, but within a 3-mile radius of that location, there's got to be 15 or so. So it was a business decision.
Okay.
But there will be a digital this year where there was no sign in the past. Sonic.
That agreement was done 5 years ago through our developer who got the special permit, and we're paying the 25 there.
Did somebody pull a building permit for that location?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
You follow the rules.
We have over 500 boards. This was just a massive hiccup on our part internally when we changed it over, and that's what
Well, I'm
happened.
assuming the reason it was done is you took those faces off to save
It was
hundreds
a
of thousands
financial
of dollars.
You're right. It was a financial decision by a corporate office. Digitals are expensive. The market has gotten a little bit too flooded with digital up here, and we had to do this 5-year deal from this Sonic deal that we couldn't get out of, and they said move it over, and through just reactionary, I have people working for me, and we have a contractor, and everyone thought they applied, and it didn't, and that's what happened. And I'm wrong on going up and doing that static without the building permit.
Council Manning Martin.
Thank you, and, you know, this is, and thank you, you know, you're owning up to it, it is what it is, and we're not here to beat you up, and we appreciate you coming. But the whole, and this isn't just about billboards. This is, we're the special, and you know, Councilor Sinowitz has touched upon that. We're this, the granting authority for special permits. And whether you own a dog kennel in a residential, whether you own a used car lot, anything that requires a special permit, this is the granting authority. We're the watchdogs. We're the ones that are supposed to get the calls from the constituents when people aren't abiding by their special permits. And we grant it, and we hold people accountable. You're from a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation. You made a budget, you know, you made a financial decision because that's your job. But you're a huge company. We're just a little tiny little board of counselors from Peabody, Massachusetts 01960. And we called you forward because this is our job. We care about our constituents. We care about we put in a lot of effort into, just ask Councilor McGinn, into the restrictions that we put on our special permits, and we do our homework, and we hold people accountable to them, and that's our job. So if we got a multi-billion-dollar corporation in here to come in and admit that, yep, it was a hiccup, yep, it was a financial decision, yep, we screwed up, yep, we take full responsibility, then we're doing our jobs. And that's what tonight is all about. It's not just about billboards, because you all know how much I love them. It's not just about billboards. It's about us being the special permit granting authority and us doing our job and us doing what's right by our constituents. That's what tonight was all about. You just happen to be the lucky winner, okay? So I've been waiting 5 months to have this conversation. So I don't think we need to make any decision tonight. We've waited 5 months to air it out. So, you know, I think that this has been progress tonight. So I don't think we need to make any determination. We can recess, pick it back up. I will leave that to not only the ward councilor in which this billboard resides, but he's also the city council president who can make that determination. So I've said enough, and I thank you all very much. And sir, I thank you too. Thank you.
Before the representative from Lamar leaves, does anybody else have any other questions? Being none, I'd like to thank you for coming. Appreciate it. As people said, I think that was the start of repairing what happened. So appreciate that. I also would like to thank Councilman Manning Martin for what you said this evening. I appreciate that greatly. Sometimes in this seat you can't say everything you want to say, so thank you. I am going to recommend that we just recess this and that we can revisit it and we'll get it back on the agenda. Councilor Sinowitz?
Yeah, and I just want to say I appreciate Mr. Murphy standing up there and taking questions, and I think, you know, get your ducks in a row, come back, and we'll work it out.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman, could you make a motion to recess the hearing?
Yes, I'd make a motion to recess this show cause hearing for, is it Lamar, or do we have to repost it, or should we send out invitations to, I don't know, everybody? So just to recess what's been posted? Is that?
To recess what's been posted.
All right, we're going to
yes.
recess what's been posted. We're not, I don't know that we're going to be be fining anyone. I mean, so I don't know that we need to repost. That's where I think. We just want to resolve this. So to recess this hearing as posted this evening with Lamar and Jack Kelty, who used to be with Total Outdoor. Thank you.
You've heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? It's opposed? Okay. Let's vote. Thank you. Moving on. Item 4B, entertainment license for Gallo Nero Pizzeria and Bistro, 89 Main Street, Peabody. Could the clerk please read the public notice?
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, October 12, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. On the application from Gallo Nero Pizzeria and Bistro, 89 Main Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting to amend their entertainment license to allow for live entertainment, specifically karaoke, DJ, and live music, limited to a maximum of 2 performers and 1 amplifier at said 89 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. Peabody City Council, Councilor Joel D. Sasslaw, City Council President.
Thank you. The applicant would like to come up and state your name and address for record and tell us what you'd like to do.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Aleko Pashai. I'm the owner of Galonero Pizzeria and Bistro, 89 Main Street. I tried to advertise a little bit too. I'm not going to say the menu now, but it's okay. After expanding in summer, now the restaurant get more busy, and we try to make better. So that's the reason I'm here today to ask for the entertainment live music. I think it's going to be better for the business. We just try to be not loud, just a room music so people can listen, have a drink, and have a fun. So.
Thank you. Would anybody like to speak in favor of the applicant? Would anybody like to speak in favor of the applicant? Would anybody like to speak in opposition of the applicant? Would anybody like to speak in opposition of the applicant? Being none, Council McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Spoken with the applicant on this, Mr. Aleko Passage, excuse me. And as he just indicated, he intends to offer periodically some live entertainment in the recently expanded restaurant, which seems to be doing quite well. Happy to see that happening. I've not been aware or made known of any neighbor concerns on this, and I intend to offer my support for the application. Also, I'd add to that, under suspension of the rules, I'd move to receive item 8J. So moved.
With the motion, all in favor and opposed, to vote.
In your packet, you'll find 8J, which is an email from Councilor Gravel, which he requested be read into the record. To my fellow councilors, I apologize that I am not able to attend this evening, but my wife and I are traveling out of the country. I wanted to offer this letter expressing my support on behalf of Gallinero, who is seeking to get a live entertainment license. As both a councilor and as an abutter to Gallinero, I wholeheartedly support this request. I have gotten to know Aleko very well over the years, and I know that he has the best interest of Peabody and the downtown at heart. His recent restaurant expansion is a clear indication of his commitment to our city. I know his goal in providing small two-person live entertainment is to offer a unique old-world restaurant experience to his customers. In all my time as a neighbor at 81 Main Street, Aleko was always concerned and demonstrated the utmost respect for his neighbors. It should also be noted that when it comes to donating to city functions and activities, Gallinero is always at the front of the pack offering support. While I cannot vote on the issue tonight, I hope my fellow councilors will see the benefit of granting this request, and please know that Aleko and Gallinero has my strongest endorsement. Sincerely, Dave Gravel, Councilor at Large. So again, myself, and obviously along with Councilor Gravel's written support, I endorse this change, and I'd open it up to other councils at this time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council McGinn. Any other councilors? Council Manning Martin.
Yes, Aleko, I know that you know me well. My husband and I frequent your establishment. We love it. You're an excellent chef. Your staff are friendly, and the menu is affordable. Your renovations that you've done over the summer are gorgeous, and you're quite a success story. You're a very, very nice man, and I encourage the citizens of Peabody to check out Gallinero in downtown Peabody. You will love the atmosphere, you will love the food, and you will love the prices, and you'll love Aleko. So I'm all in favor.
Councilman Tsoulis, then Council Sinowitz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tikani Soleko, welcome. I've eaten in his restaurant. Great cook. The food is terrific. The atmosphere is very inviting, and and he's just expanded. So I haven't been in yet, but I'm looking forward to going there. Aleko, I just want to tell you, and this is nothing personal to you, but I tell this to everybody who gets an entertainment license. It's a privilege that this council allows you, okay? It's to help you better your business. And there's a responsibility that goes with it. And I know very well what can happen. And I'm just going to tell you so that you could be aware of this and make sure it doesn't happen. When you get a big crowd in your place, sometimes, you know, a few drinks, this and that, and you have a little trouble in there. A fight could break out, or, you know, your responsibility is the safety of the patrons in that building, plus your workers, and you don't need the grief. You have too much invested. So you've got to make sure you police your business to make sure nothing like that happens, because if it does, you'll come back before this council and you will lose that privilege. Okay? Okay. Good luck. I'm looking forward to going to your place. Thank you.
Council Sinowitz.
First, I think everything that's been said, but I just would like to reiterate that Aleko could have moved out of the downtown. He had a growing business. He was doing fantastic. The people flooding in there. But he chose to stay in Peabody Square. He chose to spend his dollars to renovate his store, and he's done a great job. So that's how our downtown will grow, by having great restaurants and food and a little entertainment. I think will be wonderful. It's not typical, Jim, as we all remember that, but I have a lot of faith in you. I think you do a great job, so good luck.
Thank you.
Council Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very quickly, you know, we had a discussion earlier. We had the Chamber of Commerce, Deanne Healy, representing Main Streets and the efforts to revive our downtown. And an integral part of our renaissance is investments like Aleko is making. And Yalanero is fabulous. We love having you, and we thank you for your investment in downtown Peabody.
Thank you.
And I'd like to, Council Garabedian.
Yeah, I too, I was there a couple of weeks ago. I saw you there, was at a little party. And the place is just a very, very nice place. Good people, good prices, great meatballs. And good luck. Thank you.
And I just want to say is that, you know, as Councilor Gravel stated in his communication, that you do a lot, and you give a lot. But one thing that I'd like to say that you give that's a little bit different and puts a lot of smiles on parents' face across the city is you sponsor the cable television broadcast of the football team, the basketball team. You might do others. Those are the two I'm aware of. But that puts a lot of smiles and faces on the parents and the residents of the city. So thank you for doing that also.
Thank you so much.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to close the public hearing.
With the motion, all in favor and opposed, vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the application from Gallinero Pizzeria and Bistro, 89 Main Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting to amend their entertainment license to allow for live entertainment, specifically DJ and live music, limited to a maximum of 2 performers and 1 amplifier at said 89 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. Hours of non-live entertainment Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. Hours of live entertainment Friday and Saturday, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. So moved.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Manning Martin.
Yes.
Garabedian.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Patsulis.
Yes.
Charis.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Sasla.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0 to absent.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up is a special permit 4C. I'm going to step down and ask Councilor Sinowitz if you'd mind taking this piece.
Next on the agenda is item 4C, a special permit for Janko. With the city clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, October 12, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. On the application from Janko LLC, DBA Proper Performance, 250 Beacon Street, Waltham, Mass. for a special permit to operate an automotive repair shop with all work carried on indoors in a BR zoning district at 241 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Peabody City Council, Councilor Joel D. Sasslaw, City Council President.
Thank you, Tim. Would you please introduce yourself and tell you what your intentions are, please?
I'm John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts, and I appear at this time on behalf of J. Janko LLC of 250 Bacon Street in Waltham, Mass. They do business as Proper Performance, and they are hoping to do business at 241 Newbury Street in Peabody, Mass. Property is located in a BR zoning district. This particular use of operation of an automotive repair shop with all work carried on indoors in the BR zoning district is allowed by special permit. That is the reason for which we appear before you this evening to apply and seek this special permit. The property is comprised of 2,400 square feet, and there is really no build-out necessary. It was formerly the location of Victor's Automotive, and Victor did business there for Victory Automotive, and they did business there for many, many years. An examination of the building permit jacket down at the Commissioner's office revealed that Victory was never given a special permit. I was hopeful we could ask for the transfer, and that's because Victory preceded the need for a special permit, and they had been there throughout. You have issued already an auto detailer. You've issued him a permit. I think that Meineke Muffler had to get a special permit. They've been given a special permit. So we have come before the City Council this evening to seek that special permit. Our hours of operation are set forth in the business hours of operation. We have applied for no construction hours of operation because the unit is pretty much, it just needs to be cleaned, painted. We will pull a permit for anything that requires a building permit, but for the most part, it's very cosmetic. We're seeking hours of operation of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 o'clock on Saturday, no Sunday.
All set, Jeff?
And I think, yep.
Okay. Anybody here wishing to speak in favor of the petitioner? In favor? Anybody here wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, Council Sasslaw.
Thank you. So as was said by Attorney Kelty, I think you all know the location. I think the fit of the business is conducive to the two neighbors. I have not heard any objections from any neighbors or any abutters. I went up, I looked at the property, and as I said, it's pretty much just it's appropriate use, and I will be supporting the applicant tonight.
Any other councilors? Comments? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? Council Sasslaw.
Thank you. I'd like to propose to approve the application from J. Janko LLC, DBA Proper Performance, 250 Beacon Street, Waltham, Mass. for a special permit to operate an automotive repair shop with all work carried on indoors in a BR zoning district at 241 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. So move.
On the motion, comments? Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you, councilors.
Okay, item 4D, I'm going to turn this over to Councilor Turco.
Mr. President, under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8B, which is a request to continue this meeting until the October 26th meeting.
For the request, motion to continue till October 26th. So move. Next up, reports of committees. Municipal Safety Committee, Council Garabedian.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the committee, Municipal Safety, met tonight, and the one issue that we got to, a couple of them we couldn't get to because we had to go in executive session, but we talked about first responders, how to protect them against drug overdose scenes. And I was going to do a report of progress, but I just wanted to touch base and just yield to Councilor Manning for a moment to explain the what we're talking about as the first responders going to these drug scenes, and how important it is to protect our first responders more than anything else. So I'm just going to yield to Councilor Manning on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Garabedian. This evening, Fire Chief Pasden presented before us and shared with us a draft of a standard operating procedure for emergency operations that he will be discussing with Chief Griffin as well, on how our first responders should deal with the current situation of opioid overdoses, given that carfentanil and fentanyl can, when coming in contact, mostly through inhaling, can cause the death of the first responder. So in today's day and age of the opioid crisis and them having to respond to these and called, there's a new effort in training and handling these situations where the first responders can balance, or are trained and act to balance the need to protect themselves and act in the best interest of responding with speed, but they also have to protect themselves. And that we shared that the council supports them 100%, and any type of equipment that they may need, specifically masks to protect them from inhaling, because again, carfentanil, when inhaled, could kill the first responder when they're responding to a scene, to administer Narcan for any overdoses. So it was a very good discussion, and we're going to, I think Councilor Garabedian is going to schedule another one so we can continue those discussions, so we can continue to support our first responders, give them the equipment that they need, the equipment and training to protect themselves while they're protecting us. So thank you, Council.
Thank you, Councilor Manning. There were no motions, Mr. President, although I'd like to get another meeting set up before the end of the year on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Garabedian. Next up, Committee of the Whole Executive Session. Nothing to report at this time on that committee. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Ann Manning Martin.
No motions, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Garabedian.
No motion, Mr. President.
Councilor Turco.
Mr. President, I have a couple of motions, and we'll start with move to amend City Ordinance Section 19-90.4, parking of trucks and commercial vehicles prohibited, to add Jubilee Drive full length, both sides, to that ordinance.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, a vote?
Mr. President, on same issue, Jubilee Drive, move to refer to Public Services to order and install signs upon the legalization of this change in ordinance. Thank you.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, a vote?
And, Mr. President, move to receive a late communication from resident John Swanson regarding the crosswalk issues in his email on Lynn Street. Mr. Swanson mentions the crossing of the children over to the Brown School, as well as it's an area for bus pickups for the high school, and he would like some more visibility at those crosswalks, and also attached to that late communication, I'm sure most of you have seen them, the sidewalk, I guess you'd call them attenuators, that would be placed in the middle of those sidewalks. And I wanted to refer that to the police department to see if that's feasible to do that. Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor, opposed, to vote.
And lastly, Mr. President, this is an issue that I guess for all of us, it was actually just kind of came to me the other day. I was taking my kids to the bike trail, and lugging three bikes in the back of a car doesn't work. And I see over and over again these bike kiosks that are placed in cities and towns, and I'd like to refer that to, I guess, Industrial and Community Development Committee for discussion. And I think it affects all the ward councilors, where if we could work a deal to have these bike kiosks come into Peabody for rental, the South Peabody Trail, the Greenway, even with the new Crystal Lake improvements, if we could get those kiosks, and specifically the downtown, I really think that that would be great. If me as a father trying to lug 3 or 4 bikes in a car, I'd rather just put my credit card in the machine, pull 4 bikes out, ride the bike trail, and then bring them back at the end of the day. So if we could refer that issue to Industrial Community Development.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. Thank you.
And lastly, move to receive a late communication from Department of Public Services of completed motions. And also, I'd just like to bring attention to 71 Lake Street, which was not done for the ward councilor, in case you didn't notice that.
Thank you, Counsel. Counsel McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8D.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote.
And, Mr. President, you want me to take 8C on your behalf?
8C, you've heard the motion, all in favor, any opposed. It's a vote, although I think 210 Andover, is that's Counsel Charis.
Oh, apologize.
No objection
sorry,
to Counsel Charis. I will receive that, thank you.
No further motions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one quick motion. Would request the Finance Director to update the council on the first quarter of the fiscal year, just to see what our receipts are and if there are any red flags. And just on that motion, Mr. President, it's a motion that I've made the last several years, just to kind of get a sense of where we are after the first quarter, and if there are any issues that we should be aware of. And last year, when we got our update, we were told that there really were no red flags, and then we found out that we had a little bumpy ride in the next couple of quarters. So I'd just like to know where we are and that we're on stable footing for the rest of the fiscal year. So moved.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. Thank you. Councilman Tsoulas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 motions here, and they're very simple. I'd like to ask Public Works to take a look at 4 Berry Street, send someone over and take a look at the sidewalk over there. Those people have been on the list for 4 or 5 years now, and I think if they take a look at it, they'll see the seriousness of it, and hopefully we have some money in the budget to take care of it. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. Councilor Tsoulas.
Yeah, also, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. I've made this motion before, but the sign never seems to go up at the right place. I've got more no heavy truck signs on Tremont Street, but I have a constituent who constantly asks me, and I thought that's where it was going to go in the first place. I hope that we can get public services to install the no heavy trucks signs on the corner of Highland Street and Tremont Street. And that's not the Highland Street. There's 2 Highland Streets off Tremont Street, and I think they get confused with them. There's Highland Park and Highland Street. Highland Street is on the Salem line, and that's where we'd like to see the sign. From people coming from Salem into Peabody. Like to see the sign where it's very visible, and hopefully I could make that neighbor happy. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed to vote? Thank you. Council Charis.
Thank you. On the suspension of rules, move to accept 8H.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed to vote?
And one motion to have Public Services put up a children's sign at the intersection of Regal Terrace and Castle Circle.
You heard the motion. All in
So
favor,
moved.
any opposed to vote?
Thank you.
Council Sinowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I got a few motions here. The first one is at request of the Department of Public Works install a berm in front of the driveway and 19 Stiles Drive. When it rains, the water comes down and floods out his driveway, and we were hoping to get that done before the start of the winter season. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed to vote?
I'd like to request that at the next municipal safety meeting that we add the topic of truck routes for the Birchwood development, and I request that Captain Richards from the police department attend so we can talk about designated truck routes when that project gets going. So moved.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed to vote?
I think it was about a year ago, I requested a small, like a 6-foot by 4-foot area of the corner of Lindauer and Lake Street to be paved, and it's just languishing. And we've been out there, it's been marked, I've been out there multiple times, so I'd like to ask the DPW what's going on, why isn't it being done? So moved.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed to vote?
I want to move to receive under suspension of the rules, item 8F. And this, you know, I don't want to really belabor this. The next council wants to do it, but I find that this has no bearing or matter on anything. Aggregate is looking for any business that opens within you know, so many miles of that to put in their leases that you better know that there's a quarry there, and you know, there could be blasting and odors and all that. And I don't know where it's even coming from, but they didn't do it for Healthy Pet. They didn't do it for the Chabad when they opened. And you know, the other thing is, what about residents? They don't count, only businesses count. So if I want to buy a house, should the realtor tell the homeowner, hey, it's blasting and there's smelly stuff here, you really want to buy this house, right? So I just find this has no bearing. I'll just make a motion to put it into committee and let it languish there, and if the next person wants to deal with this, they can. So moved.
Heard the motion, all in favor? So vote.
And just two things. Lastly, there is something, I saw something about, and this is probably Council Saslaw's 8G about the medical marijuana. Like Salem just got $350,000 from their first medical clinic, and we're languishing doing nothing. Can we just please get it going so we can receive some of the tax revenue instead of when you go to Salem and buy it, it says, thank you, Peabody, for your tax dollars. So please, let's get this thing going. So, you know, it just seems to be going nowhere, and for the medical marijuana, it could be, once it's up and running, we could have some good revenue for the community. But that's just a thought, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Sinowitz. I have a couple of motions I need to make. First off, I'd like to make a motion for the Department of Public Services to clean out the catch basins at the corner of Dale and Upham Street. For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. Secondly, I need to make a motion that the Department of Public Services install Go Slow Children signs on Benevento Circle, and that would be on pole LP1 and pole LP3, please. For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. And lastly, I did get from a constituent who also serves on the Conservation Commission. I got a very good suggestion I'm going to refer it to Public Services. And the request is that the DPS start a database or a spreadsheet that will show the location of all the storm drains to the best of their ability, the nearest address and intersection, and identify them, and more importantly, the date of the last cleaning of each storm drain. I know we all get calls, and you know, we do have some suggestions when this is in the subcommittee about how to start this database and to keep it. We think it might be a great project for an intern during the summer, but I think it's a very valuable, legitimate request, and it's not the first time I believe it's been proposed, and it does seem like it might be a little bit of work, but I think once that database is set up, it's very simple to see, and obviously the city will know obviously which catch basins are more troublesome than others. So I'd like to make that motion, refer that to Public Service Committee to look into the city proposing a spreadsheet, a database that shows the location of all storm drains and the date of the last cleaning of each storm drain. So move. All in favor, any opposed, to vote? Could I have someone 8G, please? Oh, 8A, please.
Motion to receive.
For the motion, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. And 8G?
Item 8G.
8G was
Motion
received?
receive.
No. And 8E. Motion received, all in favor, any opposed, to vote. 8I, I don't believe 8I was received. Motion received. And 8H received, motion received. All in favor, opposed, to vote. We did. Okay, item number 9 on the agenda. The motion, all in favor, opposed, to vote. Item 9B.
Motion to approve.
Motion, all in favor, opposed, to vote. And lastly, we do have 2 late communications for 2 banners. Councilman McGinn, could you get us on, take care of those?
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to receive late communication from St. Basilius Orthodox Church for banner requests and approve, all papers being in order, so moved.
For the motion, all in favor, opposed, to vote.
And move to receive late communication from Our Lady of Fatima Church for a banner request. Move to approve, all papers being in order, so moved.
The motion, all in favor, opposed, to vote. Have a motion to adjourn?